This is Miss Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 6, Learning Target 2, and so today we're going to be talking about exponential functions with translations. Okay, so we're going to talk about what that means. So when we have translations, all that's telling us is that there's a specific part that's being added on. So here we're going down 1. So it kind of means that, you know how we never cross the x-axis? It's kind of like now that we're moving the x-axis down 1. But we're really going to go about the same method. We're going to make a table. So we're going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in our table. And we're going to plug in each of those for x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 and I'm going to take x out. So I have 4 to the 0 power and then minus 1. So I'm taking 4, raising it to the 0 power, which we know to be 1, and then subtracting 1. So it ends up being 0, 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug in 1. 4 to the first power minus 1, that's going to give me 3. Then 4 squared minus 1, that's going to give me 15. So again, it's the same as yesterday, except this time we have to subtract at the end. So to fill out the rest of the chart, you end up getting 63 and 255. So let's go ahead and let's graph these. So we're crossing the y-axis at 0, 0. Okay, so that's our origin. So we're crossing, our first point is going to be right there. Okay, then, excuse me. So then we're going over 1 up 3. So that's going to be about here. Then we're going over 2 up 15. That's going to be all the way up here. And then my next one is 63. So that's way off my graph. Now the difference is now that we've translated down 1, this right here that I'm drawing in, this is the line that we don't cross. So this can dip down below the x-axis here, and then we're going to work our way up. Again, we're not going to quite get to 3 on the graph because it needs to cross 3. So we can go all the way down to this line here. So we can cross the x-axis, except we've translated it down just a smidge. So for our x-intercept, or our y-intercept, we look for when x is equal to 0. So here our y-intercept is 0. Let's take a look at number 2. So again, my a, this value that's being raised to the exponent, is greater than 1, so I'm just going to use 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I'm going to plug in each of those values for x. So I get 2 to the 0 power plus 3. Well, that's going to give me 2 to the 0 is 1 plus 3 is 4. And then we're going to do 2 to the first power plus 3. That's going to give me 5. And then 2 squared plus 3, that's going to give me 7, and then 11, and 19. Okay, so now our vertical translation, we've gone up 3. This is a positive 3, so we've gone up 3. So now the new line that I can't cross is at plus 3. So if it helps you to draw that dotted line in so you know you can't cross it, go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and plot these points. So we're going over 0, up 4. So that's this point right there. Okay. And then we're going over 1 up 5, which is here. Over 2 up 7, which is here. Over 3 up 11, which is here. And over 4 up 19, which is here. So now I'm going to go ahead and cross those. Remember that dashed line I drew in, that's my new line that I can't cross. Okay, so I'm not going to cross over that plus 3. I want to make sure that I stay above that plus 3. Your x-intercept is when, or your y-intercept is when your x is 0, so my y-intercept there is 4. Next, let's take a look at this one. Well, first of all, I notice that we're translating down 1 because that's that negative that's being added. So the new line that I can't cross is at negative 1. So now again, I see that my a is greater than 1, so I'm going to use 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to plug in each of those values. So I'm going to take 3 times 2. So I'm going to raise 2 to the 0 power, which is 1, times it by 3, and subtract 1. So you could really plug it into your calculator just like I have it written here. That will always spit out the right answer. So you have 2, and then you should get 5. Again, I suggest typing these into your calculator to make sure that you know how to do this. If not, bring your calculator up to me. So then we're going over 0 up 2, and we're plotting that point. Again, I can cross down to negative 1, but I can't go below negative 1. I'm going over 1 up 5, over 2 up 11, And then my next one is going to be probably just off the graph. So if you want to estimate, it would be about right there to kind of make your aim. So I'm going to draw this sloping upwards. Again, you cannot cross that -1 part. You can cross the origin because we've translated down, but you cannot cross that -1 part. Our y-intercept is when x is equal to 0, so our y-intercept there is 2. All right, next, let's take a look at this last one. So again, the thing that's being raised to the exponent is greater than 1, so I'm going to use 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I'm going to plug in each of those values for x. So let's just get it set up of how I would type it in my calculator. So for 0, I would type it into my calculator just like this. Now notice that 2 is being added. So my new line that I can't cross is at +2. So I just sometimes draw it in there to remind me that I can't cross it. Okay, so we're going, when you type in 0, you get 4. When you type in 1, you get 4.6. When you type in 2, 5.38. So you'll notice it's growing really slowly. 6.39, 7.71. So it's growing very, very, very slowly because we're basically almost multiplying by 1, right? So now we're crossing the y-axis. Let's go ahead and graph this. We're crossing the y-axis at 4. So we're going over 0, up 4, and plotting that point. Over 1, up 4.6. That's just about halfway to 5. Over 2, up 5.3, just above 5. Over 3, up 6.39, just above 6. And then 7 to 7.1 is going to be right about there. So we're sloping up very, very, very slowly. But it is still going to be an exponential function. That doesn't mean it's a line. And again, it can extend down all the way to that 2, but it can't cross that 2. So your y-intercept is where your x is equal to 0. So your y-intercept for that one is 4. So that concludes your note video today. Please go ahead and show me your note sheet once you're done. Thanks for listening.